You don't know, you can't tell. You just have to wait and watch and see what happens. And he said this was the experience that he had, and he knew it might be time for me to say farewell. But he said, at that point in time, he felt like the Buddha was there in front of him. And whatever event, whatever incident came flashing in front of his eyes, all that he could come to a conclusion was reject, reject, reject. So his mind was not clinging on to anything. Whether it was a deed that he had done through desire, it comes back into memory, comes alive. But at that point in time, it's as if the Buddha was standing in front of him and going, reject it. There's nothing to hold on to this. Nothing of value to hold on to. It's anicca dukkha anatta. This is not going to bring any pleasure. It's pointless. Let go. Second memory comes back. Again, same. Either good or bad, regardless. Whatever came to his mind, the only thing that happened, this is happening involuntarily. He said he even once tried to deliberately hold on to something, just to test what was really going on, because this is not an experience he had had in this life before. So he tried deliberately to hold on to something. He said, I was reminded of the monastery and all these young monks that I've been helping and teaching and giving instruction to. And that came to mind, and I thought, right, I'm going to hold on to this because, I've done good service to the monastery and I live with some good monks, so I must try and hold on to this. Even when he tried to do that, he still couldn't. Because the only answer that keeps coming back is reject. There's nothing worthwhile holding on to. And he realized this was his understanding of the Dhamma that had come to save him at that point in time. Dhammang have rakkati dhammachari. Dhammo have rakkati dhammachari. As he was relating this story to me, I could see a tear in his eye. And he said how he was so pleased with himself that he had taken the path in Dhamma. And at that point in time where no matter whatever he was trying to hold on to, nothing was being clung on to. Everything was just reject. No, nothing. It's not worthwhile. Just let go, let go, let go. And he wasn't even doing deliberately. It was all happening involuntarily. Because the Dhamma had come to his rescue. This is the only rescue you have. This is the only refuge you have. I want you to understand that. This is why I related that story with you. This is why he shared that story with me, and he said, Swami Nohansa, if anyone asks you, what might a near-death experience be like? Well, this is one. This is my personal experience. If you have sought refuge in the Dhamma, if you have an understanding, a comprehension of the Dhamma, then the Dhamma will come to seek to your refuge at that point in time where no one else can help you at that point. No one else. You can't bring a Swami Nohansa and expect him to help you at that point in time, because who knows? You might be reminded of a time when you're in your youth, or perhaps in your time when you were foolish, where you might have offended a Swami Nohansa. So Swami Nohansa comes and he starts chanting Pirit. What you might be reminded of is a time when you were a young boy or a young girl. Mother said, Puta, come and listen to Pirit. I don't want Pirit. What nonsense is that? Stop that and put some music, will you please? You might be reminded of that. Now, are you not better off not having had that Swami Nohansa come and chant Pirit in front of you? This is the thing. You can't pick and choose at that point in time. You just have to let go and see what happens. It's just Russian roulette at that point. You can't pick and choose. At that point, you are just a victim of karma. So a question to you again. Have you been preparing yourself for that day? Or have you got lots of time for that? This Swami Nohansa was he's only 29 years of age. And remember, he's a Swami Nohansa. He's a monk who dedicates his life to the Dhamma. Perhaps you live more virtuous lives maybe. So you have nothing to worry about. He is a monk who battles with Raga, Dvesha, Moha every waking hour of his day. Perhaps you have more vigor. Perhaps you are more courageous. Perhaps you are more tactful. So perhaps you have nothing to worry about. Maybe. If so, then great. But if not, I ask you again, what have you been doing to prepare yourselves for that day? This day that doesn't come with warning. When it comes, it comes. You know, one bacteria can knock you dead. Can it not? One virus can knock you dead. A virus that you can't even see with your plain eyes. It can knock you dead. One blood cell can knock you dead. What are you playing with? Life has become a game to a lot of people. You don't realize how we're all just hanging on to a fine thread. You know, there are many hundreds of thousands of reasons, causes, which keep you alive at this point in time. You're alive this minute. You were alive the last minute. The causes that are keeping you alive this minute are not the causes that kept you alive the last minute. They're different causes. Because cause and effect works right now. Not causes yesterday keep you alive today. Causes this moment keep you alive this moment. So cause and effect is running 24/7 every second. At this point in time, you're only alive because there are causes that keep you alive. There are reasons that keep you alive at this point in time. And there are hundreds of thousands of them. None of these two causes talk to each other and go, hey, I'm going to help this guy be alive. Would you care to join me? None of your heart muscles talk to each other, or heart cells talk to each other and go, I'm going to try and keep this guy alive. Would you care to join me? They're all independent. If one fails, that doesn't mean the other is not going to fail. It doesn't mean the other is going to fail either, because they're all independent. They'll all fail independently and they'll all work independently. So if you have 100,000 causes that keep you alive at this given time, this given moment, remember, none of them are working in unison. They're all working independently. Imagine if you were the chief of an army and you had to get them all to stand in line, facing the same direction, ready for a march past. So you go attention, and everyone has to stand in attention. All look in the same direction. Whatever they were doing prior to that, they will all have to stop all that activity now and stand straight, looking in the same direction in attention. So this is your task. Now if you have 100 people, they're all doing 100 different things. No two people talking to each other, they're all just doing about their own business. How much time is it going to take you to bring all of them and get them to stand in attention, all look in the same direction? 100 people? They're not working together. They're just randomly walking here, there, looking up, down, left, right, just doing their own thing. But you want them all to stand in attention, looking the same direction, and doing nothing else at your command. When you say attention, they have to do nothing else but just stand in attention, waiting for your next order. And there are 100 people. Can you imagine how laborious that task is? Now what if there are 100,000 people? They're all doing their own thing, running here, there, everywhere, just going about their business. And your task is at the count of 3, bring them all to attention. All look in the same direction. All standing single file. Can you imagine how difficult a task that is? Now similarly, to keep you alive, there are more than 100,000 causes that have to line up in exactly the right arrangement, exactly the right configuration to keep you alive. They're not going to line up now because they lined up one moment ago. They're all working independently and they have no awareness of time. Just because they did it the previous moment doesn't mean they're going to do it now. Just because they do it now doesn't mean they're going to do it the next moment. But all 100,000 of them have to line up to keep you alive. What are the chances? Which one of these is a surprise? Life or death? Which one's the surprise? Which one's a surprise? Being alive is a surprise. When there are so many causes that have to come together to keep you alive. Leaning Tower of where? Pisa. Why do people go and take photos? Because it's leaning. Because what do you expect it to be? Really? When you go and take photos in front of a straight building, you expect that building to fall. This is why it's a wonder. So people go and take pictures in front of the Leaning Tower of Pisa because you don't expect it to be like this. You expect it to be like that, flat. So because it's like this, it is now a wonder. So you take pictures of it. Because logic says it's not practical, it's not possible that you're leaning like that and you haven't fallen to the ground yet. This is why people go and take pictures in front of the Leaning Tower, isn't it? Otherwise, you could go and take pictures in front of any tower. The Leaning Tower is special because it's leaning when it's expected to be flat. Now think about yourselves for a moment. There are so many causes that have to line up in exactly the right arrangement, in exactly the right configuration to keep you alive at this moment in time. Many hundreds of thousands of causes that have to line up, that have to be in your favor. Which one is the surprise? The fact that they are or the fact that they aren't? They are. It's a surprise that they are in your favor at this given moment in time because there are so many of them. Herding cattle is easier than keeping you alive. So really, people should not be bothering going in front of the Leaning Tower to take pictures. They should come and take pictures with you. Maybe that's why they do that. Hey, would you care posing for a picture with me, a selfie, maybe? Maybe that's why they come and take pictures with you so much. Because they're just so surprised that you're still alive. Why do you get surprised when someone rings you up and says, hey, this guy, yeah, he died last night? Why does that surprise you? That's not what should surprise you. What should surprise you is that the guy who called you is still alive. So when someone calls you and says, hey, you know what, I have to share this sad news with you. So and so died last night. What should you be saying? And you're still alive? Because actually, if you put it on probability, the chances of you being alive is unimaginable. It's a miracle that you're alive right now. It truly is. But the inevitable day is coming. And that day we don't know when. So, for the third time and final time, I'll ask you the same question. What did you do last week to prepare yourself for the inevitable day? How much of your last week did you dedicate towards preparing yourself for that. Remember what Guru Swami Maharaj says in his sermons? We all get the same paper. We all get the same test paper. This exam that we have to write is the same paper for all of us. Whether you're a lay person or a monk or a man or woman, whether you're rich or poor, doesn't matter. Whether you come from a good family or not, it doesn't matter. We all get the same paper. And in this paper, it does not ask you how much money you have in your bank account. What a pity, right? If only they asked that. Oh, you'd pass with flying colors, wouldn't you? If only they asked you how many countries do you have citizenship in? You'd pass with flying colors, wouldn't you? If only they asked you how much property do you have to your name? How much of the country belongs to you? Oh, we'd all pass with flying colors. But what a pity, that's not the question they ask you. The only question they ask you is, how much raga, how much dvesha, how much moha do you have left? Then tell me, if you are leaving with this world with the same amount of raga, dvesha, moha with which you came into this world, what has been the purpose of your existence? What has been the purpose of your human existence? If you're a dog, you have an excuse. If you're a pig, you have an excuse because you can't do anything about it. If you're an animal, you have an excuse. I won't fault you. But you're humans. You're living, breathing things with intelligence. You can do things to change the direction of your life overnight if you so choose to do it. You can hear what it is I'm saying. You can understand, you can comprehend. You can choose right from wrong. You can decide what happens in your lives. And yet, if at the end of that life, you are going to tell me, I'm going to go away the same amount of raga, dvesha, moha I came into this world with, what has been the purpose of your human existence? Are you any better than a dog? Are you any better than an animal? Am I saying you're dogs? No, that's not what I'm saying. This is what you will feel when that day comes. When you're on your deathbed and the last moments are ticking by, when that reel starts to play in front of your eyes, it doesn't come with warning. You'll have your eyes shut and all of a sudden you'll see this film flashing in front of you, like a train that's just coming from nowhere. One car after the other, events from your childhood, from your life, flashing in front of you. And you can't choose where this train's going to stop. Which car's going to come and stop in front of where you're standing right now? You can't choose. At that point, you're helpless. No one can come to your refuge at that point in time. Only the Dhamma. You know how many things you've done in your life today you regret. Times when you acted with raga, times you acted with dvesha, times you acted with moha. Times where you engaged in unmeritorious deeds, unwholesome deeds. Whether it was killing, stealing, engaging in sensual misconduct, lying, backstabbing. You know. Times when you went really angry, really mad, and the things you said to other people to hurt their feelings. Times when you might have destroyed people's lives with no sympathy at all. You know. Even as I say this, events will come into your mind. You'll be reminded of such times. What if one of those comes and stops in front of you? Who's going to save you then? Then you're helpless. Completely and entirely helpless. If you don't have the Dhamma at that point in time to enable you to contemplate on that event and look at that as being anicca, dukkha, anatta, Without that understanding, you're a goner. You're a loser. The Dhamma is the best insurance plan that anyone can buy. And how much is it? Free. Well, that's how the best things in the world are, right? Free. The best insurance plan that you can buy is free. But alas, this is why most people don't bother about it. Because it's free. If the Dhamma was sold to you at a high price, I think people would be more interested. Wouldn't you think so? If we charged you for one of these sermons, 10,000 rupees a sermon, 20,000 rupees a sermon, 25 or 30,000 rupees, 50,000 rupees, I mean, heavens, it's in English. 80,000 rupees a sermon. I think there'd be a lot more demand. Don't you think so? If you had to book your seats and buy a ticket to be here, I think there'd be a lot more demand. But alas, it's free. When something's free, people don't value it. That's why people don't value their parents. Why? Free. Who has to pay for a mother? No, it comes free. Who has to pay for a good father? No, it's free. That's why they don't value a good father. That's why a lot of people, they value their tuition masters more than they value their school teachers. Why? One you have to pay a lot for, the other is free. But some of the best teachers in the country are public school teachers. I know, because I went to public schools. Free. Some of the best doctors out there, they don't charge a penny. They do it out of the empathy that they have for all living beings. But people don't value them because it's free. Are you one of them? Have you lost value in the things that you have because it's free? Never be like that. The best things in the world are actually free. Don't undermine something just because it's free. Most of all, the Dhamma. This is the one thing that you and I have not had the opportunity to receive in this infinitely long journey in samsara. Because if you and I would have come across this Dhamma, I guarantee we wouldn't have met in this birth. You wouldn't be here today. If you and I had come across this Dhamma prior to this life, you and I wouldn't have met. So don't undermine something just because it's free. Embrace it. That's why a husband doesn't care when a wife treats him well, because it's free. He doesn't have to pay for it, so it's free. But when he has a mistress, now he has to pay for it. Now there's value. Now you can measure words in rupees, in dollars, in pounds. You can measure them. One word, how much for a word? How much for an hour? You can measure it now. But when you have a good wife, it's free, so no value. When you have a good husband who cares for you, who looks after you, it's free, so don't care. Don't think twice about what you're going to say next and how it might affect them. Why? Free. Until it's free no more. and then you regret, and then you repent. Now it's time to be remorseful. Don't be that guy. Don't be that person. Appreciate what you have. Appreciate what you have, not because that's so good and you want to be back in samsara to go through that again and again and again. But appreciate what you have, because these are all things that a lot of people in this world don't have. A lot of time people actually complain about what they don't have, don't they? Is that what people like to do a lot? Complain about what they don't have? Not thinking about what they do have? Doesn't everyone you come across complain about the economy? About the weather? About politics? Yes. Everyone's complaining. Because they don't realize what they have. They don't realize that there are a lot of other countries where they couldn't get out and walk on the street and be guaranteed that they'd come back home alive. They don't realize that. They've forgotten all that. People complain about the police, about the armed forces. Oh, it shouldn't be like this, they should be like that. They're so corrupt. People don't realize that the reason that you can go to bed at night and not worry about what's going to happen is because there's the armed forces out there who keep guard, who guard our nation with their life. People don't realize that. So people complain. People just moan. People complain about the economy. This is always pointing the finger outwards. That's what it is, time and time again. Pointing the finger outwards. The problem's not with me, the problem's out there, so fix yourself. A lot of people complain about their schools. A lot of young children complain about their schools. My school is not a good school. My teachers, they're useless. They're not even in class half the time. Chances are your teacher's not in class half the time because you are not in class half the time. Who's the teacher going to come and teach? Desks and chairs? Or the blackboard? Sometimes you're there in person, but you're not there in mind. So what's the teacher going to come and do in class? You know the old saying? The day you become a good student, a teacher appears. You don't have to do anything. The teacher appears. The day you learn to become a good student, the teacher will just appear. Out of nowhere, a teacher will appear. So stop complaining. Stop pointing the finger outwards. Point your finger inwards. Look at what you can do to be a better person. Look at what you can do for your country, for yourself, for your neighbor, for your husband, for your wife, for your children, for your mother, for your father. See what you can do. Expect little. Give a lot. Because ultimately, what you get is what you give. So if you get little, what's the reason? You're giving very little. Who said so? The Buddha said so. So don't be someone who gives very little and expects the world. Don't be like that. Don't ask what your country can do for you, right? What should you ask? What can I do for my country? We need to talk about these things from time to time as well, not just anicca dukkha anatta. Because this is what's going to give you a good background, a good foundation. If you don't realize the value of things you have, and again I say, this is not value in terms of, hey, lovely, I just want to keep coming back in samsara. This is the best husband I've ever had. I want to keep coming back into samsara for you, my darling. That's